Fortune to revise Baba's Murli with Murli of 11th July 1974. It's a beautiful Murli, very practical points, and one underlying theme Baba is relating to in the Murli is the importance of being seated on the seat of self-respect. So am I seated on my seat or am I not? So sometimes Baba says set up or upset. So if I'm set up properly on my seat of self-respect, then there's no way that I can get upset. So today Baba is giving very practical guidance of how to really get rid of any waste if it still remains any waste, how to really get rid of it, of all the shortcomings. So we will revise this Murli today and tomorrow as well. So let us take a moment with Baba as we listen to his versions. The theme of the Murli is get rid of all shortcomings as per directions of Murlis. Get rid of all shortcomings as per directions of Murlis. One who makes the drishti and vritti sato pradhan, the liberator of karma bandhans, the one who gives the key to all the superpowers, the very sweet Shiv Baba asks, do you consider yourselves to be the great donors, those with all rights to all powers, and to be seated on all three thrones received from the Father? What are the three thrones? Takht, throne. One is the throne of an emperor of the land, free from sorrow. The throne of a detached observer, that is the stage of stabilizing yourself on the seat of a detached observer. The second is the throne of a powerful master, almighty authority, who gives the proof of becoming equal to the Father. The throne of Baba's heart. The first is the throne of a detached observer, Sakshi Drishta. And the second is, Baba says, the throne of a powerful master, almighty authority, who gives the proof of becoming equal to the Father, the throne of Baba's heart, Baba ke dil takht machine. The third is the throne of the future world emperor, Bhavishya Rajyadhikari. Have you claimed a right to all these three thrones? So the throne of a detached observer, the throne of Baba's heart, the throne of the future world emperor. Have you claimed a right to all these three thrones? What would be the present stage of someone who has claimed all these three thrones? Tell Baba three signs of the three thrones. So what are the signs that I have these three thrones? Baba says, what would be the main sign of the throne of one who is a detached observer? At every step and in every thought, he would constantly experience Bap Dada to be a companion. Sakshi and Sati. To the extent that I am Sakshi, detached observer, to the same extent I'll experience Baba to be my Sati, companion. To the extent that you experience companionship, accordingly, you will remain unshakable, stable, and in supersensuous joy. Achal adol, Anatindriya sukh. Your every word will feel as though spoken with the Father. Just as Baap and Dada are such constant companions that you cannot separate them even if you wanted to. Sometimes you experience the companionship of both to be so close that it is as though they are one. In the same way, the company between two should be that of oneness. Not that you are one, but that you are equal. People have taken the word equal, that is saman, to mean to merge, samana. So do you experience yourself to be Bap Dada's companion in this way? Do you follow the Father? Since you're following the Father, you should be able to experience the stage of being an observer and of having companionship at every step and at every second. Once we were having this discussion on to observe and to absorb. So if I'm observing drama, then I can really absorb Baba. But if I'm absorbing drama, then Baba becomes an observer. Right? So that's what Baba says, to the extent that I am a detached observer, just observing. Everything is happening, I'm just observing. Nothing is going in, sinking in, just observing. So then I can really absorb Baba. I feel Baba's company all the time. So Baba says, only those who experience being an observer can be seated on the throne. So that's what Baba is saying, that the more we are an observer, the more we experience that companionship with Baba. Secondly, so that was the first throne. Second throne, someone seated on Baba's heart throne would be a worthy soul, layak and worthy. That is a soul who would give the proof of following Bap Dada in their thoughts, words, and actions, and with their body, mind, and wealth. If I'm seated on Baba's heart throne, then the sign would be that the soul would be a worthy soul and would follow Baba in their thoughts, words, actions, man, vachan, karam, and body, mind, and wealth. Tan, man, dhan. The third is to be a world emperor and to be seated on the throne of the kingdom of the world. Such a soul would not only be a conqueror of the physical organs, but would also be a conqueror of matter, the elements. Such a soul who is a conqueror of sinful actions, a conqueror of the physical organs, and a conqueror of matter. So Vikarma Jeet, Karmendriya Jeet, Prakriti Jeet. These are powerful and very deep words. Such a soul who is a conqueror of sinful actions, a conqueror of the physical organs, and a conqueror of matter, becomes a conqueror of the world. Have you become one who is seated on all three thrones. On all three thrones. If you have claimed a right to all three thrones, then such a soul who has claimed all rights would never be standing in a queue in front of the Father. Anyone who is in any type of queue would never have the attainment of any type of rights. Mhm. 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 Today, Bap Dada will give the response to those standing in the different types of queues. You make various requests to Baba to do this or to do that. When you make a request, do you not remember that Bap Dada places the children ahead of himself in every aspect? Since Baba has given all the powers to the children, how can a child who is a master make a request? Just as Baba is able to open the lock on anyone's intellect and able to change anyone's sanskar, aren't you able to do the same? Has the lock on your intellect opened? You would not say no to this. Bap Dada has opened the lock on the intellect of all of you and made you experienced, has he not? Since Baba has opened your lock and made you experienced, are you yourselves not able to do that which you have experienced? Just as your lock has opened, open the lock of others. Is it difficult to open the lock on others? What is the key for the lock? Has Baba not given you that key? Did that which belongs to Baba not belong to you the moment you became Baba's child? The key also belongs to you, does it not? You have the key, and yet you tell Baba to open the lock. Or can you not find the key when you want it? Baba only keeps the key to divine vision to himself. He doesn't keep the key for opening the lock on the intellect. Mhm. What is the key to open the lock on the intellect? Baba says all the powers are the key. All of you have these, do you not? You're not the bestowers of divine vision, but you are master almighty authorities. Those with all powers, are you not? Mhm. Since you have received the key to all powers, why do you still make a request? You have made Baba your servant, and you therefore order him to do this or to do that. Mm. So Baba is saying for us not to request, not to go into that mode of faryad or request, arzi, but to invoke, are all the powers to really feel that we are master almighty authorities. And that key that Baba is saying, all the powers, so that we can open the lock on the intellect and then enable others to also do the same. Mhm. Mhm. Even those who are about to reach the stage of retirement are still like little children. Now is the time to create your creation, the time to create the rosary of your subjects and bhagats. How can a creator create a creation if he says he's still young? This is why you make various requests to the Father. First, attain the key, and the requests will be automatically fulfilled. Secondly, you complain to the Father. There is also a queue of sweet complaints, is there not? Who would make any type of complaint? A complaint is made when someone is not knowledgeful. Why did this happen? It shouldn't have been like this. Why did I come last? Why did I not meet Sakar Baba? All these are complaints, are they not? If you stabilize yourself in the stage of being master knowledgeful and in the stage of being Trikaldarshi, would you have any complaints? Would you be able to experience meeting Baba in the Sakar form by complaining? Can a part that has finished for now be repeated? It can only repeat after 5,000 years. One who is stable in the stage of being knowledgeful would never complain about anything. Complaints mean a lack of knowledge and a lack of light and might. It's good to use it as a slogan and save it somewhere. No? If I ever feel myself to be in a complaining mode, right. So complaints mean a lack of knowledge and a lack of light and might. Thirdly, the queue of other complaints you make is a long one. You make various complaints. You're not able to have yoga, you have many waste thoughts, you're not able to imbibe a particular power. What is the reason for these complaints? Waste thoughts. This is the main complaint visible in the majority. Vyarth sankalp. The second main complaint is that your attitude and vision cause mischief. Vritti and drishti. Dhokha de dete, mischief. Both these complaints will remain unless you listen carefully to the directions you receive in the Murli every day and imbibe them. The main reason for having waste thoughts is that you lack the treasure of knowledge that you receive from the Father every day. If you keep your intellect busy in playing with the jewels of knowledge, if you're looking at the treasures of knowledge and remembering the knowledge throughout the day, then could waste thoughts come? First of all, ask yourself, throughout the day, is my intellect busy in churning knowledge and making plans for world benefit? And today we were just discussing about this. Life is all about a balance of holding on and letting go. What I choose to hold on and then what I choose to let go. So if I choose to hold on to Baba's Murli throughout the day, I'm holding on to it, I'm trying to go deep into it, then automatically I'm able to let go of waste thoughts. And if I choose to hold on to waste thoughts, then it's as if I have let go of Baba's Murli. It kind of slips away. Mm-hmm. So throughout the day, is my intellect busy in churning knowledge and making plans for world benefit? In a logic way also, when the intellect is engaged in a particular task, and because the intellect is busy, other thoughts or matters don't emerge in the intellect. The responsibility of the task you have been given by the Father is so great that even now, so much still remains to be accomplished. In terms of the souls of the entire world, only 5 Pandavas have emerged as yet. Such a huge task has to be accomplished, as well as the task of destroying your sins. Of how many births is the burden that you have to destroy? You have to destroy the account of the sins of 63 births. As well as all this, if you also churn the treasures of knowledge, would you still have time available? Or would even the time you have seem to be very short? You have been told of 3 tasks. First, the task of churning knowledge. Second, the task of destroying your sins. And third, the task of world benefit. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so beautiful. First, the task of churning knowledge. Second, the task of destroying your sins. Third, the task of world benefit. It is so beautiful and so deep. The other day we were just, discussing about how much we become task-oriented, whether in the logic or alaukic. We generally pick up a task and just constantly think about it. And that generally creates waste thoughts. But if I get busy in these 3 tasks Baba has given me, first the task of churning the knowledge, second the task of destroying my old sins, third the task of world benefit. Mm-hmm. All these 3 are special and unlimited tasks. As long as the intellect has all this work, how can it remain free? How can you spare any time? Have you finished the task of world benefit? Have you destroyed your sins? What would be said of those who are instruments for such a huge task and who yet remain idle? Either they don't have knowledge of their task, or they don't have knowledge of how to organize themselves. They don't have the knowledge of setting their timetable. Nowadays, even junior clerks set their timetable. So can't you, Master Knowledge Full, Master Almighty Authorities, set your timetable? Set your timetable. Because you don't set yourself on the seat, you become upset. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's very simple. I say, I'm not sitting on the seat, and I've forgotten all the tasks. It's only then the waste thoughts will come. Therefore, every morning at Amrit Vela, after celebrating a meeting with Baba, or after your heart-to-heart conversation with Baba, set your timetable for the day. Just as you fix a program for the physical things you have to do, in the same way, also fix a program for what you have to do for God. To have waste thoughts means that you have not become one with the crown. The crown is the crown of responsibility. Responsibility for the self and responsibility for the world. If you take your crown off again and again, or if you're not able to put on the crown, you would never be able to be one with the crown in the future. Responsibility for the self, responsibility for the world. Baba has given me that responsibility. Baba is saying to set a timetable, to fix a timetable for what I have to do for God. You need to practice being seated on the throne from now, the throne of a detached observer and Bapdada's heart throne. Only if you have a crown and a throne now will you be able to attain the crown and throne in the future. Set your own timetable or be your own teacher and give yourself some homework, just like a teacher gives homework to a student. Let the intellect remain busy in that. Give yourself homework in this way every day, and then be an observer and check whether you are busy with your homework or whether you forget your homework by being attracted to Maya. Then your complaints will finish. Then your complaints will finish. Om Shanti. Let's take a pause here, a moment to just silently go within and absorb Baba's versions. As I sit on the throne of being a detached observer, constantly feeling Baba's company. Baba is my companion, sitting on Baba's heart throne and the throne of world benefit. Of the future emperor. I remember the key to unlock the lock on my intellect. The key is all powers. I've finished all the complaints. There's no room for any waste because I'm constantly doing one task or the other, churning Baba's Gyan, destroying sins, or busy in the task of world benefit. I make this timetable firm every morning. I stay seated on my seat and I don't become upset. Thank you, Baba. Thank you, family. Maybe we can share our thoughts, realizations at this moment.
Om Shanti, brother.
Om Shanti.
Yeah, so in this very beautiful Murli, really liked it. So Baba said many things to, check. Very deep Murli. So I like the points where Baba said about the complaints, right? So mainly two complaints. One is the waste, right? About not having yoga or unable to imbibe powers and so on. And so it's all coming because of the waste thoughts that we have. And the second complaint that Baba mentioned is about the attitude and vision, that cause misuse. So Baba said that, in order to finish all this, right, we have to take the direction that we receive from the Murli every day. Right? We have to keep ourselves busy with this, playing jewels, this knowledge, churning them throughout the day. We have to create some timetable in order to make ourselves busy throughout the day. So yeah, that's the takeaway. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Thank you.
Om Shanti, wonderful Murli, and as rightly said by the brother, uh, where in Murli Baba said, "Be your own teacher." So that gave me internal churning. That really, if we are our own teacher and we, imbibe from Baba's teachings and then become a teacher of my own self, guide my own self based on the Srimad, it really works. Setting a timetable and similarly, I can be my own father. I mean, in the sense that Supreme Father is giving me the inheritance, but what inheritance? The inheritance I am giving to myself, and also being a Sadguru of my own, based on the Supreme Sadguru. Do I bless myself every moment, every second? This, so keep giving blessings to my own self and be powerful, because to uh, power is the key to to the treasures of the Supreme Father, Teacher, and Sadguru. Om Shanti.
Nice.
Om Shanti, brother. Superpower, my liberator. And he's giving us seat so that we don't get upset. So that when the curtain is raised up, we are seen as a victorious king. For that, it's not easy. He gives us, I just see these three thrones as three steps, a very different view Baba has given in the Murli today. See, the first one also is an emperor. The last one is also an emperor. But in the first one, as Baba's famous quote goes, Begampur ke befikr Badshah. And I have to first become that. For that, I need to be, as I say, DO, detached observer. It's such a kind of weapon it is, this detached observer. It really makes me say, like, as if I'm sitting beside, when I look at the whole thing, the whole world as a stage, and every person, They are just on backstage. They are wearing their costume, acting. Again, going backstage, and also it's just soul, costume, acting. So if this picture of a DO, detached observer, I take, what cues of complaints I need? Didn't say why this happened, what this happened, that question will not come. That one cue of complaints can totally go. So I liked that. First, emperor's throne. And once I do that, just next, another throne is waiting for me. That throne is, if I want to sit along with the Father, if I want to become like him. So I can imagine another throne close to me, my Father's throne, and compare. And for that, I need authority. And Baba has always spoken about this authority, authority, authority of experience, sit on the seat of authority of experience. So once I do all this, the finale scene is, I have been a jeet of everything. All kind of jeet, karma jeet, prakriti jeet and all. So I like this. But one thing what you mentioned, brother, is what I was churning. You spoke about absorption. I was thinking absorption is something like influence. When I'm detached, how can I absorb? Then I will get over-involved. I'll say, oh, why is that actor doing like that? So can you clarify over here, what did you mean when you said absorption? Because for me, a detached observer, he cannot just observe. It's like getting influenced with jo bhi ho raha hai. Just that one thing I wanted to know between DO and absorption, brother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Oh, thank you. It's like, in order to be completely absorbed in Baba's love, I need to be a complete observer of the story, the drama. It's like a foam, nah? It's like a sponge. And the sponge is completely empty, then it can soak in completely the water. If the sponge is not empty, then it cannot, soak in. And so I really need to, just completely say drama off, Baba on, like completely zero thoughts about drama, including the scene that we are in right now. Just to see everything, every actor, everything. It's all a part of the drama. I'm observing it. And only then can I just be completely focused. It's pretty much like, when Baba says, Mera to ek dusra na koi, or none but one. It's all linked with, I believe, this observing is when I say observing means I disassociate myself with everything, everyone, whatever. And so mera koi nahi, and then absorbing is mera to ek. Sometimes I will say Mamekam yaad karo. So Mamekam is observing. Mamekam. And I may just say ki no one else, only one, observing. I'm an observer of everything else. And then yaad karo is absorption. Remember me alone. And so then that absorption happens. Otherwise, something or the other will take the mind into the story.
So you mean absorption in Baba, not absorption of what is happening in front of you.
Right, yes. So I have to, whatever
because
is...
if I get absorbed, if I take in all that like a switch, is that you mean?
Yeah, exactly. And so whatever is happening in front of me, I just become an observer of that. And I only absorb Baba and Baba's Murli, Baba's love. because otherwise I absorb everything, whatever is happening. If I'm registering it, if it is getting registered, so I'm absorbing it.
Beautiful. That's why Baba said Sakshi and Sati. Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Nice. Sati and Sakshi. Right. Any other thoughts?
Shanti, just to add one point about the churning that Baba emphasized today. So here we get the knowledge from Murli, right? And that points or the Murli points are just like seeds, right? And then the more we churning is like we watering the seed. And the more we churn or the more we water, right, the seed, and the seed will start taking its root. And then the more we water, the longer we water, the seed will take its bigger form. Similarly, when we churn this knowledge over and over, that takes its form within us. And that's how we become an embodiment of that which Baba wants us to become. Om Shanti.
Shanti.
As brother was just saying, I just wanted to add one thing. This churning, destroying, world benefit. I took it to the 3 thrones. Churning is first throne. When I observe, when I see the Murli, when I take myself as a role player. Second is power, to become equal. I have to destroy my sins. Just to make my Murli easy, I did that. I may not be right. And the third is the future throne. I become the world emperor. I become this. That's the benefit. So I was just thinking task, sins, and then the fruit. How the 3 thrones and the 3 tasks which Baba has given us.
Very nice.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. At the same time, if you don't, we just the seed is there, but we don't water them, meaning we don't churn that. Then imagine just like any other seeds, right? It will die slowly. Similarly, the knowledge that we have or that we get from Murli, we don't churn, then over a period of time, that will eventually die within us.
Om Shanti Bhaiji, just had a little query on regarding the setting up of the timetable soon after the Amrit Vela, which Baba brought out. How exactly is the timetable to be set? Is it we write it down every hourly activity, including the churning, what particular point we would churn, or how do you practice, Bhaiji? If you could kindly share. Om Shanti.
Thank you. Sure. Yeah, I think because after Amrit Vela, we are just the mind is very silent and plain, and so generally whatever touchings Baba will give is what we would try and write them down. Or if we are having a special kind of like a theme for a week or a month, and if there's some insights around that, then those we'll try to write them down. And then not so much in terms of the details of like this hour, this hour, that. However, that could also be helpful. It all depends on what works individually. So what works for me is just roughly whatever touchings come, I would just keep a note of them, and then just see, okay, throughout the day, these are the different maybe aspects then we could look at, right? Just to hold on to those thoughts during the day, basically. And then one thing that we actually started or experimented with in this month and still doing is dividing the day in 6 segments. So we'll say morning 4 to 8, then 8 to 12 in the morning, then 12 to 4 in the evening or afternoon, then 4 to 8 in the evening, and then 8 to morning 4. And so then just to, this is like a rough timetable. So from morning 4 to 8, just be in silence to just absorb Baba's, Murli, Baba's love. And then 8 to 12 is mostly like a karma yoga, be it lokik, alokik, whatever. And then, just, be in that swaman. And then 12 to 4 is a good time to revise the Murli, and also good time to, maybe plan for some seva, something. And then evening 4 to 8 is a good time to then do our, other daily activities, household stuffs, and also then take time out to unwind the day in Baba's yard. And then night 8 to morning 4 is like a free time where, we just hand over everything to Baba, and then like that, and then sleep with Baba, and then get up in Baba's remembrance. So in that way, we felt that just 4 hours, so that the attention is just on those 4 hours and trying to make the best of it. And I'm not trying to rush too much into the day as well. So that is something that has been helping us here. Yeah.
Thank you, Vaiji. Thank you. It was, yes, the dividing into 6 segments and then focusing on each segment in is, I think I will, that's a takeaway for me. And second thing is Baba gave 3 tasks which the intellect has to be remaining busy in. One is, some of them include the destroying own sins, destroying own sins, for the past 63 births. So that is also, I believe, included in which segment, or it is depending on individual to individual. Out of these 6 segments, where should we focus on destroying own sins? Because these are the past sanskars which sometimes pop up and create a nightmare, or it can create a the stage coming lower at times. Om Shanti.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So with
This destroying of the old sins is very important, and it's kind of a concern. Like, few months back we were just discussing this, like vinash se pehle vikram vinash, to destroy my sins before destruction. Because sometimes, we get too much into destruction and dates, and then this what. But really, what our main focus has to be on destroying our own sins. The world, we are not responsible for anything else but for our own journey, right? And so this just completely shifts the focus on myself rather than just thinking about what is happening out there. And so the way to destroy the sins is to have volcanic yoga, is to really be lost in Baba's yard, especially at Amrit Vela, and that's the time. So, do I have that much attention? Do I give that much importance, to experiencing that volcanic stage in yoga? Because only then the sins will be destroyed. Just by having heart-to-heart conversation, it's good, but then ultimately it should lead to volcanic stage in yoga. And so, really, to have that attention, maybe once a day, to have that stage, or few times a week, to really experience that stage in yoga. So to have time, especially for bhakti, not just simple meditation or karma yoga, but to really have bhakti, intense bhakti. It is only then that the soul will be able to destroy the sins.
yes, thank you, YG. It was really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. It was a huge homework you have given. I know you're running out of time. Just one question. What is the limitation to observe? Because if I keep only observe, I'll become a judge. And what is the limitation to churning? Because if I keep churning, there'll be no butter. Just can you tell us in short, when do I stop observing and stop churning?
Yeah, no, that's good. Because sometimes we can just go into that, mode of churning, because ultimately, knowledge, we were just discussing this, knowledge ultimately has to, translate into virtues, gyan se gun, and then virtues have to translate into powers, shakti. And so churning is, of course, I'm, engaging myself so that my time is, just trying to get into the depth. But then after churning, the main aspect has to be on application of it. Like I've come up with the butter, right? But then I have to apply it in my day-to-day life, in everything that the drama is presenting me with, because only then in that application, that knowledge will transform into virtues. It's like those virtues will be then visible, like we see in Dadis, in Mama, right? All those virtues were visible, like, say the patience, or we'll say courage, or we'll say tolerance. All these virtues will develop. And slowly, when these virtues, I keep on integrating these in my actions, and they become powers. And so churning is the first stage, but then eventually they become virtues, then they become powers. Powers means then, then the soul kind of carries that aura with them. Um, and so there's a step by step. So it's like churning is, I've understood it, but then the next is I have to, I've always to kind of look up to the next, step, so that I just don't get stuck in that step. Otherwise, then, that's where it's like the spiritual growth will flatten up, right? And so this constant translation of knowledge to virtues to powers. Mhm. And then, of course, yoga, the more I'm churning knowledge, it will help me in yoga. So that's the metric. If I'm churning well, yoga will be good, better. If not, then I have to readjust, recalibrate myself. I always feel like, for me these days, I feel just to live one day at a time. One day, one Murli. That's it. One day, one Murli. Just completely focus on the Murli and apply it. That's it. Nothing else. That's it. So simple that way. Mhm. Shanti, Rakhiben, any other thoughts?
Shanti Sarabhai, you want to meditation?
Yeah.
You can also take on what we discussed before meditation.
Yeah, I think there's this announcement about this session this Sunday, right, Rakhiben? Is it on Sunday? On the spirit of spirituality, is that right?
Yeah.
And our dear Vimish Pai will be facilitating that session. So you're almost welcome to join and pass on the word around. So that will be this Sunday, which is 25th, I believe. Yeah. And thank you. So let us then take a moment to be with Baba as we forget everything else, whatever belongs to this physical dimension. doesn't belong to me. I, the soul, I belong to Baba. And Baba belongs to me. Everything else is secondary. I naturally get detached from the drama. I observe the drama and I absorb Baba and Baba's presence. Om Shanti. Have a nice day with Baba. Thank you. Om
Shanti. Thank you, Divine Family. See you tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.